Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen, Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is nothing short of a jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. As always, if you are new to this channel and finding yourself on my videos for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button because we drop an update just like this one around 1 p.m. UK time every single day to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space, but also the broader markets, and that's exactly what I intend on doing in this video. I don't even know where to start. Yesterday, we had news that the US has came out and charged Kucoin with anti-money laundering failure. And this is to do with their KYC or lack of KYC implementation and the upkeep of it. So we're going to be looking at that news. We're going to be looking at Kucoin's response, some of the news surrounding it. We'll look at the Kucoin token. Then we've got a shed load of news to cover in relation to Bitcoin. HSBC now offering a blockchain-based gold product. They're the first bank to do this. This is big news. We're also going to talk about companies now looking to add Bitcoin. We'll look at the Bitcoin chart, and then we're going to be talking about the broader macro. Now, you guys know that we've been looking at things like the liquidity index. We've been looking at things like the bond market. We've been speculating on who's going to be the buyer of bonds and thus liquidity. And it's likely going to be coming from the main source of liquidity, which is the Federal Reserve, which aligns. That's our macro picture, our macro thesis for why we think crypto is going to do well, which is all coupled with technically where we think things are going. So we have a lot to get into, guys. Let's not waste any more time and let's get straight into it. So this was really the main news of the day. And it's important for me to come out whenever we have news like this and kind of quieten things down because, as always, everything's so dramatized. And this is the nature of media. Drama sells, okay? And we are not holier than thou in that regards. You know, we often get accused of clickbait. We try and keep it as minimal as possible. But we want to grab people's attention to a channel that we think is genuinely of use to you guys as crypto investors and broader speculators on markets. So the US charges Kucoin crypto exchange with anti-money laundering failures. Ooh. March 26th, so this was yesterday. The federal prosecutors in Manhattan on Tuesday charged Kucoin, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, with the violating of US anti-money laundering laws by failing to vet customers, allowing billions of dollars in illicit finance to be transferred since 2017. How do they know that? So again, this is another perfect example of the US flexing its muscles and saying, no, 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 you can't transfer anything without our say-so or knowledge. And if you do, we're going to bring the might of the US to your doorstep. I still think it's amazing how people have just forgotten about the whole Binance situation, how the US literally hostilely took over Binance. They got CZ out, who I'm a massive fan of. I'm a big advocate for CZ, Chaopeng Zhao. I think he's been nothing but a guiding light for crypto. He's done nothing but honor his customers, and still, you know, even them charging him $4 billion when he was throwing up the four everywhere. It's just a big troll, basically. But in this, it goes on to say, prosecutors said the Seychelles-based exchange sought business from US customers without registering with the Treasury Department and putting in place procedures to verify clients' identities and required by the law. Kucoin posted on social media site that customer assets are safe. We're going to take a look at that. Prosecutors also charged the exchange's founders, Chinese national Chu Chun Gan. I'm going to be saying these horribly wrong, by the way, guys. A dyslexic reading news live, there's always going to be some issues. And Qi Tang, who was 39, with conspiracy. They remain at large, according to prosecutors. They remain at large, so they remain out there on the run, apparently. The US Commodities Future Trading Commission separately filed a civil lawsuit against Kucoin, alleging it failed to register its futures and swaps activities with the regulator. So it's a good thing that the commodities futures, isn't that interesting? There's something telling there. Apparently, according to Gary Gensler, everything is a security, not a commodity. So Kucoin in December agreed to block New York users from its platform and pay $22 million to settle the state lawsuit accusing it of failing to register there. Kucoin's trial, Binance, Coinbase, and Kraken amongst crypto spot exchanges on factors including traffic, liquidity, and trading volume, according to the data company CoinMarketCap. So essentially what is going on here is Kucoin weren't up until recently implementing KYC. They've now done that, but they failed to register users pre-2023. So they are basically charging them and saying that what they're doing as a result of not having KYC ultimately must lead to illicit finance. So funding certain things and whatever have you. And I'm going to try not to go on a massive rant here. I think this is another perfect example of the US basically overstretching their reach. And there is a kind of fairness in some regards to what they're doing, because if you want to facilitate trading in the US, there are rules that you need to adhere to, and Kucoin in some cases haven't done that. Maybe they thought they were above doing that. They have tried to sort of stop US users, but we know that this is a bit of a gray area. It's really sad for people in the US, because I have a Patreon. We've got lots of people in there, and there's lots of my patrons that are in the US that can't buy certain cryptos, apparently for their own benefit, which I don't know. I think what the US government is doing is basically the mandate that Biden put in place. Biden doesn't put anything in place himself, by the way, that his government put in place to basically ensure that the US remain at the forefront of industry, and crypto is no different. And really what they've been doing since that was ensuring that they take down any kind of a threat. It's no coincidence they took out Binance, and then straight after they allowed a ETF. And the reasons that they were sort of stalling on the ETF, pre-destroying CZ and kind of taking over Binance, was because of manipulation. And they're really talking about Binance. They're reining everybody in the best way they know how to with their kind of watchdogs, and Kucoin was never going to escape that. But this has caused lots of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. This was a tweet that I just thought was quite badly wrote. Another one of the top exchanges is now on the brink of going bust. Where have you got that information from? Because according to Kucoin, they haven't. So let me just say this, guys, always practice self-custody. It's the bet. If you feel capable enough to look after your own seed phrase, to get a ledger, to use a ledger, do that. Don't trust an exchange. FTX was a great example. For me, Cryptopia was one that I got caught up in 2018. You shouldn't really be trusting an exchange, period. This space is all about minimizing trust and saying, okay, we don't just want your trust me, bro. We want our own we can do this ourselves. It's all about taking power back and not having to trust a third entity. So you should always self-custody. But as far as I'm aware, Kucoin isn't going bust. We'll look at what they've said in response to this. This time it's Kucoin. We've warned about this shady exchange for years as being a fraud. Wow. It's amazing how many comments I get in the comment section. I'll cover a crypto project, instantly everyone, oh, it's a scam coin. Wait, what? You've got to be able to back that up with some kind of source, at least one. But anyway, so today the US government indicated the exchange and its founders on criminal charges. So that says indicted, citing a multi-billion-dollar criminal conspiracy. They've worked alongside Tether for years to prop up the market. Oh my goodness. And rig prices in favor of whales and insiders. What do you think the US government do themselves? If you have your funds on centralized exchanges, it's like trusting a, squirrel to guard your nuts. Very interesting. So always practice self-custody. Kucoin obviously have came out in response to all this. Kucoin is operating well and the assets under users are absolutely safe. We are aware of the related reports and are currently investigating the details through our lawyers. Kucoin respects the law and regulations of various countries and strictly adheres to compliance standards. This is all just really about the US ensuring that they maintain and stay the kind of dominant leader and don't have people breaking away from that in the form of crypto. So this is Kucoin's token. It took a hit, but it's still in an uptrend in our opinion and could likely go higher. I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing with what they did with FTX. And I think there's some dodgy Solana business going on there. Solana doing very well in regards to actually stablecoin transactions at the moment. Huge spikes in that field. But this is interesting. Definitely worth reporting. My quick take on it is, so I have used Kucoin previously. You should never try. If you can practice self-custody, do so. I think, again, this is just the US doing what the US does and being the biggest bully in the room and throwing their weight around and ensuring that everyone adheres by their rules and not, provide, they'll always use the, this must be criminal. because we don't know who's transacting. And they can kind of say that, because if you don't know who's trading what, you've got no ground to say, okay, well, they haven't. So I think this is just the US doing what the US do. Always practice self-custody if you can. I think Kucoin will survive. That's just my own take. Just like I thought Binance would survive when everyone was saying, oh, no, they're going bankrupt, blah, blah, blah. People want drama. They want to, FUD. But ultimately, I think this is, again, just the US doing exactly what the US does. And we see hundreds of examples of them doing this. Let's now talk about a little bit of crypto news more broadly. So this is just in. The London Stock Exchange confirms that it will launch trading of Bitcoin exchange traded notes, ETNs, so it's an exchange traded product, on May the 28th. So the US Stock Exchange is now facilitating Bitcoin products. This is huge. This is part of the kind of allowing of our industry to actually become an industry. Also, some really interesting news is HSBC's gold token goes live for retail investors in Hong Kong. HSBC is claiming bragging rights for being the first bank to create a blockchain-based real-world asset aimed to retail investors. And this is part of the tokenization of everything. On top of that, Nilam Resources enters letters of intent to buy 24,800 Bitcoin, a letter of intent so subject to any terms of the equity sales, reserves, mergers, and SPACs to raise capital to buy BTC through public markets will intensify. Absolutely, indeed. You're going to see a lot of this taking place. If you look at MicroStrategy was essentially a dead company. It came about in the dot-com boom. It did really well, and it just did nothing until they bought Bitcoin. So Michael Saylor, hate him or love him, he's done very well off of betting on Bitcoin and being right. As much as I'm not really into his how many chairs are you sitting on arguments, we are going to see the intensification of this. If you understand the great game, what's going on right now is you have a proliferating fiat system, okay? And this is the great game of the impoverishment of the masses, because we deal in fiat currencies that they control and manipulate and dilute, whilst their buddies get the money to basically just buy assets. And you've got assets going like this, and you've got the value of fiat going down and people going down with that. Bitcoin is the fastest man or woman, let's be equal on this channel, fastest man or woman out of a burning building, if that makes sense. So when the explosion goes off, which it will, Bitcoin will be likely the furthest ahead, and assets are a shelter from a fiat system. If you look at the M2, if you look at the Fed balance sheet and the relation to assets, it's all very there. Let's take a quick look at Bitcoin. So you guys know exactly where we're at. There's no need to deviate from this. We have that broader target. Also, something that we're very interested in is Total 2. I've not seen anybody else doing analysis on this, but this is giving us a prediction of $3.7 trillion for the total cryptocurrency market. That aligns with the broader macro. That aligns with what we're looking at for Bitcoin, what we're looking at for individual altcoins, what we're looking at for the stock market, Bitcoin against the stock market, Bitcoin against gold, and everything in between. It's no coincidence that stocks, Bitcoin, gold, even housing and bonds are all bullish. That's an indication of liquidity coming into the market, and that's going to come in the form of the Fed stepping back in and buying debt, the further proliferation of the fiat systems, liquidity, and sort of supporting everything again. We're not really seeing anybody talk about this, but we're going to talk about it to sort of finish the video after. So in terms of crypto, stick to the plan. Volatility is volatility, and we're here to kind of help you through that. This is issuance of US treasuries are now at the pandemic levels. We saw nearly $7 trillion in gross issuance of the treasury in just 3 months during 2023. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Okay, and this is what you're escaping with Bitcoin. This is what you're escaping with assets. Because if you understand the fiat systems, how money comes into existence is through debt. Treasuries, it's an IOU. So you say, here's 7 trillion. We're going to pay this 7 trillion back and have a bond that signifies it in the form of treasuries. And the question that we've been asking is, well, who's going to buy the bonds? Right now, the Treasury have been buying bonds via the reverse repo. So this is when they upped the debt ceiling. Since then, it's gone from $2.4 trillion all the way down to just 500 billion. So they've drained, $2 trillion of it. This will get down to zero levels. And the question is, well, if they're continuing to issue debt at the same rate that they are, who's going to step in and buy the bonds? And actually, I'm bullish on bonds. So what does the market know that isn't quite headlines at the moment? Well, in my opinion, it knows that the Fed's going to step back in. And we already saw the first signs of that in regards to last Wednesday, what Jerome Powell said when he was talking about QT and how they're going to taper this off now. And their form of QT hasn't been dumping bonds, it's been letting them run out and not renewing them. They're going to have to step in and support this market. They're not going to allow the bond market to fail, because if the bond market fails, everything fails. And we saw a kind of microcosm of that in the gilts market in the UK. And this is liquidity that sees our global liquidity cycle play out. Markets will go up with liquidity. That's how this game works. And ultimately, that is very supported in regards to what we're looking at with Bitcoin and the broader market. So we have covered a lot. We've jammed a lot into a 15-minute video. Let me know your thoughts. I want to know your thoughts on Kucoin. This is just another example of the US flexing and doing what they do. Also, let me know your example of some of the news, or let me know what you think about some of the news we've covered. Obviously, HSBC, we've got more companies filing to buy Bitcoin. London Stock Exchange now trading Bitcoin products. Obviously, technically, we know where we're at in regards to Bitcoin and the broader market. And of course, from a macro point of view, we think there's a lot of liquidity coming in the form of the Fed stepping back in and doing the kind of QE Goldilocks style re-entering of the markets. We've got elections and things going on. The stars are aligned. Guys, on that note, I'm going to love and leave you. If you've enjoyed this content, like is greatly appreciated. So is a comment, and I will see you all in the next one.